Hello everybody and welcome to another Baldur's Gate 3 discussion video. Today I'm going to go through my favorite mods that I played in 2025. I played a decent amount of mods. Some of them were smaller little additions and some of them were quite big. So I'm going to be detailing every single mod that I use in 2025 and how much I liked it. I'm not going to go through too many of the smaller ones just because they didn't make a huge difference on my gameplay. You know, they were kind of just thrown in there. So I'm not going to go through the smaller ones. That's mainly going to be the bigger ones that I'm going to go through. Before we get any further, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to hear more. And now, let's get into it. The first mod I'm going to go through is Clawstep Dragonborn Body. Now, this is a little bit of a smaller one, but I think it's such a cool addition, so I thought it was worthy to add. It kind of changes a little bit of the, just a mainly cosmetic, you know. I really like how it makes the Dragonborns look more dragon-like. Instead of just having the normal plantigrade feet, you got digitigrade feet, and it just looks so much cooler in my opinion. They've changed not only the feet, but how the hips are, how their silhouette is. I just think it was a really nice additional mod to add into my Dragonborns. And ever since I found this one, I put it on all of my campaigns so that even the Dragonborns even if I'm not playing a Dragonborn, the NPC Dragonborns also get these digitigrade feet. The next mod, going through alphabetical order here, is the Dragonborn and Breath Weapon Enhanced. Again, this is also kind of a smaller one, but if you're playing a Dragonborn, it doesn't feel very small, because they made your Dragonborn Breath Weapon even stronger. And I've always talked about, in my D&D campaigns and all that kind of stuff, that the Dragon's Breath the Breath Weapon is kind of weak, especially at higher levels, and so I really like that they did this and enhanced the breath weapon. And it says inspired by Fizban's Treasury of Dragons book, and I love that book. One of the reasons being that they made breath weapon better. So I really like that they added this as a mod as well, and it just helps out with that Dragon's Breath. You know, it makes it stronger, you get more uses of it. It's just overall really nice to have if you're playing a Dragonborn. Not only that, but it also gives all Dragonborns the ability to fly at 5th level, and chromatic Dragonborns get the chromatic warding of their color. You can become temporarily immune to the color that you chose. And if you're a metallic Dragonborn, you either get Repulsion Breath or Enervating Breath, which Enervating Breath deals force damage and Repulsion Breath does thunder damage. So again, this is just a nice little addition if you're playing as a Dragonborn. You just get a couple extra things, you just feel stronger as a Dragonborn. The next mod that I really enjoyed playing is Eladrin. Now, Eladrin is one of those, I said that mods I used in 2025. I barely used this mod in 2025 because I started one of my current campaigns at the end of 2025, and it's where I'm playing as an Eladrin. I love Eladrin because, I mean, it's an elf with some extra flavor. So you get all the elf stuff of the Fey ancestry and all that kind of stuff, you know, but it's also very Fey oriented and seasonal oriented. So basically you're a Fey elf that is with the seasons, and you can actually, as Eladrin, you can change your season once per long rest. You get an ability as an Eladrin called Fey Step, which is basically Misty Step, and you can just teleport, and you have a couple charges of that. So, and I love Misty Step, so the fact that you get basically Misty Step as a racial feat is fantastic to me. And not only that, depending on the season that you are of that long rest, determines any bonuses that you get, any additional things that you get for your Fey Step. So not only do you get Fey Step, but you get a seasonal version of your Fey Step, where if you're a winter, you can frighten an enemy and teleport to them. If you're autumn, you can charm an enemy and teleport to them. If you're summer, then you can deal fire damage and teleport to somebody. And then if you're spring, then you can switch places with somebody. So I really like that added flavor that they added in those different types of teleports, especially because I really like Misty Step as a spell, and so having Fey Step with additional features is very nice. Not only that, but you can make them look really cool. You know, you got like you see here all the different seasons. You can, you know, you can either play a basic color and change your season, or you can just pick one season, make them completely themed off of that, and then you go with that. The next mod that I really enjoy is Elemental Cantrips. Now, I love Elemental Cantrips because basically this mod makes it to where you get essentially Firebolt in different damage types. And so I really enjoy Firebolt. It's a fantastic spell. You know, I mean, simple cantrip, 1d10 damage, fantastic. But the only problem is that there's only fire damage. And what happens, you know, with that really good cantrip, what happens if you go against somebody that has resistance and fire damage? Well, you're kind of screwed. So I hate that it's the only option, where here, with this elemental cantrips, you get Firebolt, but you can get it in bludgeoning and then some additional cold damage with Water Bolt. You get Divine Bolt with radiant damage. You get Thunderbolt with thunder damage. You get Lightning Bolt with lightning damage, Ray of Decay for necrotic damage, Poison Bolt with poison damage, and they get poisoned. Acid Bolt, which is acid damage, and they get covered in acid. So I really like the fact that they have different damage types that you can kind of experiment with, pick up different ones if you're looking for a specific theme. If you wanted to be a Death Domain Cleric or something like that, and you get Firebolt somehow, you can just put Ray of Decay on there instead, and you can do that necrotic damage that you want to do. So it's just really nice for versatility and choosing different damage types. The next mod that I really enjoy is Faerun Colors. And the reason why this is one of my favorite ones, again, it's also a little bit of a smaller one, but there's nothing wrong with the dyes in-game, but Faerun Colors provides a bunch of different dye colors that they just look really cool. I don't know what it is about these Faerun Colors versus the standard dyes that are already in the game, but Faerun Colors make them look even better. Like, I don't know, the color combinations that they have are really nice, really solid and sleek, and that way I can also theme my characters based off of what they might be themed around in general. So Faerun Colors, they have all of these dyes, and all of these dyes are themed around different things. So different gods, different characters. So you see here there's Evereska, Torm, Halsin, Lae'zel, Shadowheart, Zariel, the Emperor. They have a bunch of different themes, and I love being able to like theme my character even more. Another small one that I never forget to add into my campaigns is Fear Taylor's Camp Clothes. Now, personally, I choose the one that doesn't have spells. There is a version where if you put the camp clothes on, you get some spells with it as well. But I choose the no spells one because I just like the ability to customize my camp clothes. You know, I don't want to feel broken or feel overpowered because I have spells that come with my camp clothes. I just want the camp clothes. So this is a nice way that you can, you know, make it to where you don't cheat, you don't get extra spells or anything like that, you know, but you get to at least customize your camp clothes and make it look however you want. So instead of being stuck with the basic camp clothes or trying to find some camp clothes and not being successful, they have just a bunch of new and different and all the camp clothes, and it's just very nice to be able to customize those camp clothes because I just like being able to do that. The next mod on my list is Hand Cannon Gunslinger Pistol. Now, again, this is also one that's like towards the end of 2025 in one of my current campaigns I'm doing right now, but this hand cannon is just fantastic. It's very niche because like it's really good, and if you want a specific theme, if you want to have hand cannons, it's perfect, you know. If you don't want the vibe, if you don't want that kind of thing, you know, then don't use it. But if you are fine with using hand cannons and pistols, go for it, because I really like this. They're really good. I mean, you can use these hand cannons as your action, and then you can also, it's like an offhand attack as a bonus action, and then eventually you get extra different abilities with it, like detonating shot, like you mark your targets, you got a bunch of all these different types of shots, explosive slugs, splitting shots, and so it's just really cool to have like a flavorful pistol that you can have in the game, and it's just super fun. So if you guys want to try it out, go ahead and try it if you want to have that kind of feel for your campaign. The next mod on my list is Justice for Nessa. Now this one is a really good mod, and it is a huge game changer if you want to just kind of like have an extra beast or companion to help you fight. So for those of you who might not know, Nessa is Yurgir's Displacer beast, and so this has it to where you can just conjure Yurgir's Displacer beast at will. Like, you don't even need to do it once per short rest, once per long rest. It's literally at will. So if Nessa dies, you can just conjure her back. It literally gives you a Displacer beast companion, and she's got a lot of different abilities. I mean, she's got her normal attack, which is really good. She gets different, like, oh, like if you attack, you can make him bleed, prone, frightened, drop their weapon. And she's got a bunch of different things as well that she can cast slow at people around her, fairy fire. She can create a little like explosion kind of thing, a force explosion, and knock people back. It's really cool. And in order to unlock a lot of those abilities, they have this really cool system in place to where it's like a contract system. Well, since your gear is a like contract killer, they play off of that with Nessa, and she gains those abilities and she gains buffs on her based off of what she has killed. As long as she makes the final hit on an enemy, whether that be, I don't know, like a gnome or a steel watcher or a tiefling, a goblin, an illithid, all of those, she gets something special with it. She gets an ability once she does that. So I think that's really cool, because whenever I use this mod, I literally, towards the end of the game, was like, okay, what contracts do I still need to do? I had like 2 left. I needed her to kill a steel watcher and a gnome, and so I kind of just went out of my way to try and do that, and it really paid off in the end, because then I got all the contracts killed, I got all of the abilities that she had available, and it was just fantastic. It's just really fun having like kind of like a side quest of trying to get these contracts killed for her so that you can make her stronger. And not only that, but she also can displace people. So if she's next to somebody, she can select that person and then teleport both herself and that other person to another location. And if it's an enemy, dealing psychic damage to them. And after that, she leaves a copy of herself where she teleported. So you can get a bunch of Displacer Beast copies and illusions around that also deal damage and allows that teleportation, and it's just really cool. I highly recommend this mod. Now, along with Clawstep, there's this thing called Lost Shipment equipment for Clawstep that's really cool. Since I already added Clawstep on here, I just wanted to add this in here too. This gives you different equipments that work with Clawstep. Now, normal equipments and stuff should work fine for Clawstep. Other mods might not work because they just work a little differently, but all the basic equipment should work for Clawstep. But then you also have access to these additional equipment for those Clawstep designs. So I just think it's really cool, and just something to throw in there in addition to having Clawstep on here. And then these next 4 mods are kind of like lumped in together because I just think it's really cool. I am currently doing a campaign right now where I am playing a group of all paladins, where all 4 of my companions, or all 3 of my companions, including me, are all paladins. And I wanted to do an evil run since I'm doing Dark Urge Paladin, and so I wanted to find Paladin subclasses that allowed evil. And so I worked with that evil vibe. So I found 4 mods that works with eviler route, and I just thought they were worth mentioning because they have some really cool abilities and they have some really cool things to add to it, and it's just really cool to have a variability in your subclasses. So I highly recommend picking up at least these 4 subclasses for Paladin, and you can look at a bunch of other subclasses for other classes. I just really like the addition of different subclasses that you can play around with. Now, the 4 Paladin subclasses that I picked up for mods is Oath of Conquest Paladin subclass, which is actually already a thing in the normal D&D source books. They just adapted it to Baldur's Gate 3, and I think that's really cool because I already know what Oath of Conquest is, and so I just picked it up, and you know, we're good to go. The next one is Oath of Eternal Night. I thought this one was really cool because, I mean, it works pretty good with Astarion because I'm making him a paladin. And so it's a nice flavor working on the stealth, you know, kind of making it a roguish paladin. The next one is Oath of Pestilence Paladin subclass. Now, this one is also a completely new one, just like Oath of the Eternal Night. But Oath of Pestilence is really cool, too, because it kind of reminds me of, like, especially the other ones that I'm doing, kind of reminds me of like the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, where it's pestilence, and so it's basically corruption, disease, filth, infection, plague, all that kind of stuff, you know. And so I think that's pretty cool flavor for a paladin, and so I'd recommend checking it out. And then the last oath that I have for paladin is Oath of the Dreadbound. Now, this one is pretty interesting. It's kind of based off of a psychic route or a mind route. For instance, the tenets of this paladin are sow paranoia, unravel reason, wield terror, and shatter the self. And so I think those tenets are pretty cool for being an evil-based paladin. So I just thought that was really cool, and you spawn in with this epic armor and sword that glows, and I just think the aesthetic is just awesome. The next mod I have is actually not on mod.io, and it's not through the mod manager, it's through Nexus mods. And so if you wanted to check that out, you have to go to Nexus mods and download it, so it's a little bit harder to get to, but I thought it was worth mentioning anyway. It's Red Dragon Polymorph, and I just really like it because, it allows you to transform into a red dragon or conjure a red dragon by your side. And so I just thought it was a really cool flavor. I did it for a campaign and I wanted to be a red dragon. And so that was just a really cool flavor. It's definitely overpowered. So if you do that route, that mod, I would definitely recommend Tactician mode or higher, because if you're doing anything below Tactician, you're just going to wipe it. There was only a couple of times that I was struggling a little bit in Tactician mode, but most of the time it was pretty easy. So if you want to have fun and just, play it as a red dragon, this is the mod to do. The next mod I have is Snafu's Feats collection. Now, it's really cool. I like to go with feats. I like to look at the feats options, and so whenever I've expended all of the normal options for feats and I'm like, I don't really feel like any of those ones, I like to expand my reach of feats to see what else there is. So I really like Snafu's Feats collection because they have a lot of different types of feats that you wouldn't have necessarily thought about, and so I've used a few of them, and they're just really cool, and some of them are a little bit more broken than other ones in terms of it really helps out a lot. There's one that just gives you an extra bonus action, and that could be really helpful in some classes and some scenarios. But I really like the feats that they have, and I like the option for additional feats that aren't part of the normal feats. Speaking of feats and additional feats, I really like Tasha's feats, and this basically gives you access to all the feats available in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And I love Tasha's Cauldron of Everything as a book. It is a fantastic book. There's a bunch of really cool things in there. And so if you're playing normal D&D, I highly recommend Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. But they have added feats in that book for D&D, and they've transferred all of those feats from the book into Baldur's Gate 3, and I really like some of them. They're really cool, and I highly recommend checking out this one. The next mod I have is called the Zephyr, a martial class of speed and flow. I thought this one was really cool and interesting because it's kind of like a monk, but not really. It's if I had to say something, it's like a monk mixed with a barbarian, and the only reason I say barbarian is because you get this thing similar to a rage, but it's a dexterity-based rage called flow. And so it's really cool to have a kind of that dexterity-based mechanic for a barbarian instead of a strength-based one. It's a dexterity-based one, and you get a bunch of different cool things with it. And your subclass, they have 8 subclasses, and all of them seemed really cool. In the campaign that I'm playing right now, I'm being the Dragoon, which is a kind of dragon-flavored subclass, and so I think it's really cool. It's super fun. It's all about speed and dexterity and quick hits, all that kind of stuff, and so I highly recommend you check it out. Just as a small little addition too, I highly recommend the Weightless Gold mod. There's nothing else to say about it. It's just, it makes all your gold weightless, which is so helpful with your encumbrance. So go use it. Unless you really want to worry about the weight of gold, you can just go ahead, just put on Weightless Gold. It's so helpful. The next mod is Werewolf Origin. Now, I really enjoyed this mod, and the best part about this mod is that when you are a werewolf and you level up, your werewolf form levels up with you. And so you get new features, you get new abilities, new attacks as you level up, and so I think that's really cool. Instead of oh, I'm level 12 and then I'm just transforming into a basic werewolf that can scratch and bite. So I think it's really cool that the werewolf levels up with you, and you get a bunch of really cool abilities with it. And so I really like how this Werewolf Origin feat did it and how it all worked out with the mechanics and whatnot. So it was a little bit overpowered, and so I do highly recommend doing at least tactician mode on it. You know, it was very, very strong of a mod, so but I highly recommend you try it out. All right, so that is all the mods that I played in 2025 that I thought were deserving of mentioning and recommending to you guys. If you guys have any mods that you recommend as well, feel free to tell me, you know, depending on how they are and what I think about them, I might actually play them, you know, I might use them. So put your suggested mods down below, and if you disagree with my choice, let me know that as well. You know, I want to see what you guys think about it. So that'll be it for this video. Thank you guys so much, and I hope to see you in the next video.